Southwest Florida is having one of the strangest years I've seen since I got into this business. The Fort Myers Airport just set its second straight passenger record. This past March was the single busiest month in the airport's entire history. There's $1.7 billion in active construction in Cape Coral alone. A $700 million town center broke ground this year on Pine Island Road, and a $1 billion waterfront resort project on the northwest side just got unanimous approval from the City Council. At the same time, homes in Cape Coral are talking about 77 days to sell. Buyers are paying around 97% of asking price. Hey, I'm Rick Harrison, and my team and I have closed more than 150 home sales here in Southwest Florida, and almost all of them were from people relocating from out of state. I moved down here from the Northeast myself, so the questions you're sitting on right now, I've already had to answer for my own family. So in this video, I'm going to cover the growth numbers that actually hold up under scrutiny, 4 areas that people ask me about constantly, and the 3 costs that catch relocation buyers off guard after they've already closed. The growth story. Let's start with population because there's a lot of bad information floating around on this one. The Census Bureau puts Cape Coral at about 236,000 people as of July 2025. That's up almost 22% from the 2020 census when the city had 94,000. That rate of growth puts Cape Coral among the fastest growing cities in the entire country. Now here's something I want to correct because you'll see it repeated everywhere online. You'll read that Cape Coral Fort Myers Metro is closing in on 1 million people. It isn't. That metro area is Lee County, and Lee County is sitting at roughly 875,000. It was 760,000 at the 2020 census. So it's grown about 15% in 5 years, which is a serious number on its own. It's just not at 1 million. The sites quoting that figure are just using a different geographic definition that doesn't match the census. I'd rather give you the smaller number that's correct than the bigger one that gets you excited. On construction, these figures come from Cape Coral's own Office of Economic and Business Development. $1.7 billion in construction activity. That includes $1.22 billion in single-family housing across 2,045 permits and $482 million in commercial permits in 2025, with the city projecting that commercial number climbs to $723 million by end of the year. The city also estimates it's only about 60% built out. There's a lot of runway left here, but the number that tells you the most about where this region is heading is the airport. Southwest Florida International Airport, RSW, handled 11,154,000 passengers in 2025. That was a 1.1% increase over the record it set the year before. Right now, RSW is in the middle of a $1.1 billion expansion. A new Concourse E, 513,000 square feet, 14 gates to start with, room built in for more later. It's engineered to move an additional 10 to 15,000 passengers a day through the airport and into this region. Completion is targeted for the December of 2027. It's the largest public works project in Lee County history. None of that means you should buy here without doing your homework. Growing and being right for you are 2 different questions. So let's get into specific areas. Area 1, Cape Coral waterfront. Cape Coral has more than 400 miles of navigable canals, more than Venice. That one fact is why most people end up here. If you're a boater or you've always wanted to be one, keeping your boat behind your house and being out on the water in just an hour is normal life here for tens of thousands of people. The median sold price in Cape Coral is running around $360,000 based on Redfin's data through May. Zillow's home value index has it lower around $337,000, down about 6% year over year. Median list price is up around $417,000, which is down roughly 7%. I want to be careful with that because those are 3 different measurements and people quote them like they're the same thing. Sold price and list price are not the same number. Depending on which one you use, Cape Coral prices are down somewhere between 2 and 6% year over year. Non-waterfront single-family homes are generally running $375,000 to $395,000. Gulf Access waterfront median pricing sits around $600,000 to $900,000 range. That's usually towards the upper end. Homes are averaging around 77 days on market and selling at roughly 97% of asking price. In February, Cape Coral inventory was down 26% year over year, while sales were up 16%. Months of supply dropped from over 9 months down to around 6. Showings per listing were up almost 23%. Buyers still have leverage here, but it's less leverage than they had a year ago, and it's tightening. If you've been waiting for the bottom, understand you may already be looking at it in the rearview mirror. The other thing to understand about Cape Coral waterfront is that no 2 waterfront homes are the same purchase. The quadrant, the year it was built, the flood zone, the elevation of that specific lot, whether the seawall has been maintained, all that changes your cost of ownership dramatically. Homes built to the Florida Building Code that came in after the 2004 storm season are constructed to a different standard than what came before. And that shows up in your insurance quote. I've had buyers compare 2 waterfront homes a mile apart in similar price ranges and end up with a $2,000 to $3,000 a year difference in premium. One development worth knowing about if you are shopping the northwest side. In January, City Council unanimously approved 7 islands, now called Gulf Gateway Resort and Marina Village. 47 acres off Old Burn Store Road, up to 995 residential units, a 240-room Marriott branded hotel going 10 stories, a public marina with 39 slips, restaurants, and a full island set aside for public use. Total project value is around $1 billion. So here's the part that matters for your timing. The city closed on the land sale in February. The developer said they'd submit for civil engineering permits within 9 months and hope to start site work this fall. And the agreement requires that public amenities to be built before anyone can occupy a residential unit. So this is a real project with a real agreement behind it, but you're looking at years, not months. If you're buying nearby, don't pay today for value that shows up in 2029. Area number 2, Bonita Springs and Estero. If Cape Coral is where the boaters go, Bonita Springs and Estero are where the lifestyle buyers go. This corridor sits between Fort Myers and Naples. For a lot of retiring professionals, it hits a very specific sweet spot. More established than Cape Coral, more polished than most of Lee County, and close enough to Naples to get the feel without the Naples numbers. On pricing, I'm gonna give you a range instead of a single figure because the sources genuinely disagree, and I'd rather you know that. The Bonita Springs Board of Realtors put the median sale price at about $525,000 in May, essentially flat year over year. Other data providers put Bonita anywhere from $565,000 to $589,000, and Estero somewhere between $450,000 and $530,000. Naples runs $665,000 to $735,000 depending on who you ask. That spread comes from different city boundary definitions, different property type mixes, and different time windows. Inventory has turned here too. In May, homes for sale in the Bonita Estero market were down 28% year over year. Closed sales were up 16% and pending sales were up 37%. Same pattern as Cape Coral. Now this is the part I really want you to pay attention to because this is where I watch relocation buyers get surprised. This corridor is full of gated golf communities and a lot of buyers look at the home price and stop there. Take Bonita National. I'm using it as the example because they publish their numbers, which I respect. Their 2026 real estate packet lists a master HOA assessment of $4,256 a year, then a new capital fund charge of $145, then a capital replacement charge of $526. If it's a golf deeded home, add a golf association assessment of $3,200 and golf reserves of $946. Add those up and you're at roughly $8,900 a year in association fees. That's before your property taxes, before insurance, before utilities. If it's a single family home, there's also a lawn care assessment on top of that, running $2,200 to $2,700 depending on the home type. And it's a CDD community, so there's district debt service riding on the tax bill. And there's one more piece. At closing, on a golf home, you're paying a $4,000 HOA capital contribution, a $5,000 golf capital contribution, and a $150 resale processing fee. Roughly $9,150 due at the closing table that has nothing to do with the purchase price of the house. I'm not telling you to avoid Bonita National. I love it there personally. Plenty of my clients would be very happy there and would consider that money well spent for what they get. I'm telling you that $8,900 a year is $740 a month coming out of your budget that does not appear anywhere in the listing price. You need that number before you fall in love with a floor plan, not after. Area 3 is Babcock Ranch, and that's where I'm shooting right now. There isn't another community like Babcock Ranch anywhere in the country. Babcock Ranch is America's first solar powered town. The power comes from 2 FPL solar centers covering roughly 870 acres, about 687,000 panels, 150 megawatts of combined capacity. The utilities are underground. The stormwater system was designed as part of the town, not bolted on afterward. During Hurricane Ian, when most of Lee County lost power for days or even weeks in some areas, Babcock Ranch kept the lights on and took no significant flooding. People drove in from surrounding areas to charge phones and get ice. I was one of those people. It performed the same way during Milton in 2024 and Helene. That's well documented, and it's the single biggest reason sales took off here. The approved plan is 19,500 homes and roughly 50,000 residents at full build out, plus about 6 million square feet of commercial space. That 50,000 figure has been consistent in the developer's materials and the county approvals for years. The town sits on about 18,000 acres with more than 73,000 additional acres of the original ranch placed into permanent preservation. One more correction. People say Babcock Ranch is in Charlotte County. It actually straddles Charlotte and Lee. Which county your specific lot's in affects your tax bill and your county services, so confirm that on any address you look at. The community sold 1,066 homes in 2025, up 34% the first time it crossed 1,000 in a single year. That ranked it 4th among master plan communities nationally. Prices start in the 200s and run past $4 million across 17 plus neighborhoods. Every home at Babcock Ranch pays the Master Association. For 2026, that's $90 a month, plus $45 a month for the fiber internet, plus a $1 environmental fee. Call it $136 a month, $1,632 a year on every single home. Then most neighborhoods have their own HOA on top of that. Parkside runs $783 a quarter. Webb's Reserve runs somewhere between $655 and $920 a month. Then there's the CDD assessment, which comes through on your tax bill. The 2026 district schedule has examples ranging from about $1,200 for some condo units to $2,027 $6,291 for a 50-foot single-family home site, up to $6,117 for a 150-foot lot on the Lee County side. And in the golf neighborhoods like Babcock National and Webb's Reserve, there's a mandatory club or golf fee that you can't opt out of. Two homes across the street from each other can have $400 or $500 a month part in carrying costs. The last thing to know is the build out timeline. This community is nowhere near finished. If you buy in an active phase, you're living next to construction for years. Some of my clients are completely fine with that. For others, it's an immediate no. There's no wrong answer, but you want to decide before you sign, not after. We've now covered 3 of the most asked about areas down here, and every one of them has a cost of ownership picture that goes well beyond the listing price. Get the wrong flood zone, the wrong community fee structure, or the wrong assessment situation for your budget, and you can end up $10,000 to $20,000 a year over what you planned. And that follows you for as long as you own the house. Grab our free Southwest Florida relocation kit at www.swflrelocationteam.com/relocation-kit. It's got flood zone breakdowns, insurance cost expectations by area, community comparisons, and cost of living numbers for everything we're covering today. It'll let you start pricing this move with actual figures before you ever get on a plane. Link is in the description and the QR code on your screen. Area 4, Lehigh Acres. If budget is your first filter, Lehigh Acres is the conversation you need to have. It's the most affordable entry point in Lee County. The median sale price is running around $305,000 to $310,000, down about 6% year over year. For somewhere in the high 200s, you can get a 3 or 4 bedroom, 2-bath home with a 2-car garage on a quarter acre, often brand new with a builder warranty. And in a lot of cases right now, for the bigger builders, you can even get rate buy downs to the 3.99% for a 30-year fixed. For first-time buyers on a strict budget, or investors looking at cash flow instead of appreciation, Lehigh Acres offers something no other part of Lee County matches at that price. Lehigh is running about 74 to 77 days on market, which is essentially the same as Cape Coral. And the sale to list ratio in Lehigh is running around 98.5%, which is actually stronger than Cape Coral's 97. So liquidity is not the honest argument against Lehigh Acres. Here's what it is. Infrastructure in the newer sections is still filling in. Roads, sidewalks, commercial services, some of it's there, some of it's coming. If you're relocating from a place with walkable amenities and dense services, that's a real day-to-day adjustment. Commute is the second one. Lehigh is inland. If you or your spouse are working in Fort Myers or Cape Coral, you're adding time to every workday in a way you wouldn't from a coastal area. Third, about 53% of active listings in Lehigh have taken a price cut. That's not a red flag by itself, but it tells you sellers are still recalibrating, and it means you should never pay list price without running the comps. And schools deserve an honest conversation. The public schools serving Lehigh Acres average about a 4 out of 10 on great schools. Ratings shift year to year, and a rating is not the whole story about a school. But if schools are a factor for you, go verify the current numbers yourself at greatschools.org or specific schools serving the specific address. None of this disqualifies Lehigh Acres. For the right buyer, it's an excellent value. But cheapest and best value are 2 different things. Reality check 1. This place was not built like a city. Here's what surprises almost everybody who researches Southwest Florida online and then comes down here in person for the first time. Cape Coral has 400 miles of canals and almost no public transit. Very limited walkability. Long distances between where you live and everywhere you want to go. This isn't neglect, it's how the place was designed. Cape Coral was platted in the late 1950s by a land company selling mail order lots. It was never laid out as a city with downtown, central business district, or water and sewer infrastructure to support a large population. The city has been playing catch up on the original design for 60 years, and as a contractor, I can tell you that retrofitting a city is a lot harder and a lot more expensive than building one correctly the first time. It's the same for any house. So if you're relocating from Chicago or Boston or anywhere you can walk to coffee shops or catch a train, understand that you're gonna drive here a lot. The city's investing seriously in fixing this. Cape Coral adopted a $1.4 billion budget for the fiscal year 2026, with a big share of this increase going into the utility infrastructure. Cape Coral Grove, a $700 million, 131-acre town center on Pine Island Road, has ground infrastructure underway right now with vertical construction targeted for the 3rd quarter of this year. That's the first genuine town center this city has ever had. But look at the dates. Cape Coral Grove is starting vertical construction this year. Seven Islands is still in the permitting. The airport isn't finished until December of 2027. The trajectory is up. The timeline is measured in years though, and the car-dependent layout of this region is not changing in your lifetime. Build that into your decision before you fall in love with the zip code. Reality check number 2, insurance. You'll see claims that Florida rate increases dropped to under 2% in 2025. Those are filed rate changes, which is a different thing from what people actually pay. What people actually paid went up 18%. But one more thing worth knowing, the MySafe Florida Home Program does offer grants up to $10,000 for wind mitigation work, like impact windows and roof upgrades, plus a free wind mitigation inspection inspection, but for the current cycle, it's restricted to low and moderate income homeowners with an active homestead exemption. And they prioritize that by age and income, and there's a long waiting line. Most relocation buyers I work with will not qualify. What does apply to everybody is the 3-year sales tax exemption Florida just passed on impact windows and doors. And a wind mitigation inspection on your own dime runs about $100 to $150 and can move the windstorm portion of your premium by 20 to 25%. So that one's worth doing regardless. I'm not an insurance agent and none of this is a policy recommendation. These are just planning benchmarks. Before you make an offer on a property, get a real quote from a licensed agent on that specific address. The difference between two houses a quarter mile apart can be $2,000 a year, and that changes which house actually works for your budget. Reality check 3. The assessment stack. Property tax in Cape Coral looks great on paper, and that's exactly why it catches people. The city lowered its operating millage to 5.1471 for fiscal year 2026. That's down from 5.2188. And there's another 0.1608 for the parks bond, but that's just the city's piece. Once you add Lee County and the school district, the total combined millage on Cape Coral property typically lands somewhere between 17 and 20 mils. That's the number that matters, not the city line item. Then there's a stack of charges that aren't based on your property value at all. Solid waste for 2026 is $384.25, up from $345.76. So stormwater went from 149 to 156. And the fire service assessment increased with the city moving cost recovery from 70% up to 81% of what the fire department actually costs to run. The dollar impact varies by property, so check your specific parcel rather than trusting a number off of a blog. But here's the big one, and this is the one that almost nobody outside of Cape Coral knows about: the Utilities Extension Project. Cape Coral is still running city water and sewer out to sections of the city that have always been on well and septic. So if you buy in one of those areas, you inherit an assessment. For the North 1 East phase, which covers roughly 3,800 parcels, the estimated assessment on a standard parcel runs about $25,500. Add that capital facility expansion charge and you're over $32,000 for a standard residential lot. First billings on that hits in November of this year. You can prepay it or amortize it over 20, 25, or 30 years on your tax bill. And then assessment does not include your connection costs. Budget roughly $3,000 for the plumber, $325 for the meter, another $100 for the septic abandonment permit, and a couple $100 for the utility account deposit. Once utilities become available, you generally have 180 days to connect. $32,000 on a $360,000 house, whether that's already paid off, partially paid, or entirely yours to inherit, is a negotiable item in the contract. Same principle applies in the master plan communities. CDD assessments run $1,500 to $3,500 a year and up, and they sit on your tax bill separately from your HOA. The buyers I've watched struggle after moving here, almost always the ones who compared purchase prices without running the whole stack. They looked at a $450,000 house here and a $450,000 house back home and figured it was a straight swap. It isn't. The insurance is different, the assessment structure is different, and the association model is different. You don't need certainty before you move here, but you do need clarity on what the actual monthly number is for a specific house in a specific community in a specific flood zone with a specific assessment status. That total cost of ownership number is what decides whether this move makes financial sense for you over the next 10 or 20 years, not the list price. Property taxes and non-ad valorem assessments, insurance by flood zone and build year, HOA, CDD, and utility assessments by community. Get one of those wrong, and you're carrying hundreds or thousands of dollars a month you didn't plan for with no easy way out. So if you want to walk through your specific budget, your timeline, and what actually fits your life, give us a call or send us a text at 239-310-5478. We'll set up a free relocation strategy session, and I'll personally build out a clear cost of ownership picture for the specific areas and property types that make sense for your situation. And if you want to just start looking on your own first, use our website. It's at www.swflrelocationteam.com. That link's in the description. If you want to go deeper on any one of these areas, I've got full breakdowns on Cape Coral, Bonita Springs, Babcock Ranch, and the rest of Southwest Florida on this channel. This next video is a good place to start. Subscribe if you want the honest version of what's actually happening down here, and I'll see you in the next one.